Hey everyone, happy Dominion toy release day. Finally, no more register lock horror stories. All of us can walk in the stores now and freely purchase Dominion toys. So we're kicking it off on the channel with one of the more highly anticipated toys from this first round of figures. The Tickle Chicken itself, the Sound Slashin' Therizinosaurus. I ended up picking this figure up at Walmart. I actually went last night, right before they closed. They had a giant pile on the floor. This box was sitting on top of it, and I just tore it open, went to the register, paid for it, and walked out the door. Went hunting this morning. I actually struck out at 3 Walmarts, but I really can't complain. I've been pretty lucky. I found a lot of stuff early, but I do wish everyone else luck that is going out hunting for these figures today. I hope you have a little bit better luck than I did this morning. So anyways, this is a figure I've been really looking forward to. Finally, the Therizinosaurus is making the appearance in the Jurassic World franchise. This figure retails for $35, and it's also available on Walmart's site and Amazon, and I'll leave the link down below in the description if you feel like ordering this figure online. This is a really big figure, and it looks absolutely great. It has a nice, well thought out paint job. Look how nice a figure looks when it's painted properly. So anyways, let's go over the packaging really quick before we crack this Tickle Chicken open. You got the Jurassic World Dominion logo front and center on the bottom of the box. Huge picture of Rexy on the side with the helicopter flying overhead. Got a couple pictures of how the Sound Slashin' action feature works. Turning it around, we get more pictures of how this action feature works on this figure. Pretty cool looking. And then down here, we have a picture of the previously reviewed new Dominion T-Rex. And then up here shows you how the new DNA scan code feature works. So that will do it for the packaging. Let's crack this thing open and take a closer look. And let's start with this 360-degree view of this awesome toy. Oh my God, I absolutely love this thing. It looks absolutely fantastic, and it is a ton of fun to play with. That's all you really need with a Jurassic World toy. You just need it to be fun, and this is a awesome looking figure. Look at those hand claws on there. They're huge. They're nice and sharp looking. Therizinosaurus is a very weird dinosaur species, and I think they captured the essence of how weird this animal is. It's almost pretty much fully feathered. The feathering is really nicely sculpted on there. A lot of paint apps. This thing has a lot of color going on with it, and it's probably one of the better painted mainline figures out there so far. So yeah, good job, Mattel. Really love how this thing turned out. We only caught a couple glimpses of what this looks like in the movie. We saw it chasing and trying to terrorize Claire, but yeah, this thing is cool. And for like $35, this is an awesome looking figure. And at the end of the year, when I do my top Jurassic World figures, I can definitely see this figure being very high on that list. And now for some quick measurements. This figure is 15 inches long from the tip of the tail to the tip of the snout, and about 8 inches tall to the top of the head. The height will change depending on how you have the figure positioned. So Therizinosaurus in real life was between 30 and 33 feet long. So put this figure somewhere in the 124 to the 126 scale range. And now let's zoom and take a look at some of the finer details on this weird looking dinosaur. So Therizinosaurus is technically a theropod, but they evolved over time to become vegetarians, and I think that is just really cool. Now this figure does have some sharp teeth mixed in there, but you do have a beak on the front. The head is painted in black paint, and then you have this nice green with feathering along the top of the head, and then you have these really long feathers on the bottom jaw. The eye is painted yellow with a black pupil. The orbit is decked out in red paint, and inside the mouth we do get some nice details with the teeth. The sound feature is extremely sensitive on this figure. Just move it just a little bit and it will go off. You can see the tongue is painted nice. Even the roof of the mouth does have some gum tissue in there. Top of the head, you got some nice red paint for the feathering. And let's take a look at it from the front. Pretty menacing looking. You have all that nice green paint go down the throat. You have it highlighted by a white stripe. You can see all that nice feather detail sculpted in, and more red along the back. And then going down to the main part of Therizinosaurus, these super long claws. They were huge in real life, up to over 3 feet long, and Mattel gave them a really nice paint job. They're just decked out in light gray paint. You have a little bit of black at the bases. You know, Mattel hates painting hand claws, but they put extra effort on this one. You can see the scales on the hands are nicely sculpted, and we have some nice feathers along the arms. A little bit of dry brushing of green paint. So like I said, a lot of nice paint apps on this figure. Pretty impressive. Going down the body, more nicely sculpted feathering. And let's turn it over without it trying to go off. You can see that green paint ends just underneath the chest. Going down to the legs, more nicely sculpted feathers. A little bit bare right here. You can see some scale detail on the back of the thigh. And then we get down to the lower feet. No scale detail, nice defined calf muscle. Toe claws aren't painted, but the rest of the figure is painted so nice I can overlook that. It would have been nice if they put a little, you know, gray paint on there. Some nice scales on the feet. And then going down to the tail, a nice feathered tail. Real nice feather detail. And let's pop up the DNA code. So for those of you that want to scan it into the Fax app. And just to give you an idea of how big those hand claws are on Therizinosaurus, I actually do have a cast of it. Let's zoom out a little bit. So this claw is, I think it's like 17 inches long, but this is just the bony core of it. It'll be covered in the keratin sheath, and it would be up to like 3 feet long. So yeah, you wouldn't want to be slashed by one of these. You know, most paleontologists think that these long claws help them pull vegetation into their mouths, but you know, if an animal tries to attack it, they will definitely use these, and you would not want to be hit by one of these. And now let's go over articulation. For an action feature heavy figure, I was really surprised by the amount of articulation this figure has. So on the head, settle down. On the head right here, you do have a joint. You can move the head up and down and turn it side to side. Going down to the arms, my God, this action feature, I love this figure, but man, is it super sensitive. You have a joint right here, so you can move the arms down and up, and you can also position them up and down. You do have a nice elbow joint. It allows the hands to rotate also. You also have a wrist joint. Like I said, I was very surprised by the amount of articulation on this figure, and you can turn the hands side to side as well as down and up. And then going down to the legs, you can move them backwards and forwards. Has that locking point to keep them in that neutral position. And what is this? We actually have knee articulation. It's very limiting, but it's nice to have it. You can just move it back a click just to change the position of the figure, and you can rotate it side to side. And we do also have ankle rotation that is incredibly tight. Oh my God, you're so sensitive. You're like my ex. Now for the action feature, all you need to do is, let's turn it around, is you control everything by the tail. You can press the button right here, and the neck will go down and the mouth will open up. Get a couple different roars, and then you can swing the tail side to side to get the body to thrash back and forth for that slashing action. So yeah, a pretty fun figure. I do really like this thing. I was really surprised by the amount of articulation on it. Such a cool looking toy. And now moving on with comparisons, here it is with Claire. We'll see if she gets out of that situation in the movie, but since she's a main character, she has plot armor, so I'm sure she'll be fine. And let's compare with some previously reviewed Dominion figures. Here it is with the Ferocious Pack Moros, and here it is with the Dilophosaurus. And hey, wow, he actually didn't go off this time. Here it is with the Kitchen Encounter Velociraptor, and here it is with the Extreme Damage Blue. And next up, here it is with the Hammond Collection Baryonyx. And I have to say, this Therizinosaurus has pretty close articulation levels, similar to the Hammond Collection. Really cool that they did that. Like I said, I'm just so impressed with this figure. That extra articulation goes a long way. And lastly, here is the Therizinosaurus with Rexy herself. And you can see the Therizinosaurus stands a tad bit taller than the Rex. So final thoughts on this Therizinosaurus This is an awesome toy. I knew I was going to like this thing, but I love this thing. I was just so surprised by all that extra articulation. The hand claws look fantastic. The action feature is really fun, even though it's just a little bit sensitive, and they just did an awesome job sculpting and painting this thing. And I really wish they put a little bit extra love like they did on this figure with some of the figures in the main line, because you know me, I always kind of criticize them on their paint jobs, but you know, this figure is pretty much perfect in my eyes. It'll be really interesting to see how much screen time this dinosaur gets in Dominion. But like I said at the beginning of the review, you can order this figure from Walmart or Amazon. Links are down below in the description. And if you're going out hunting today, I wish you all the best of luck. I hope you're finding everything you're looking for. And let's sit back and enjoy these toys. It's a great time when a movie's releasing, because there's a lot of awesome stuff out there to make us go bankrupt. So that will do it for the review. I still have a bunch more Dominion stuff I have not gotten to yet. I got a couple of the Ferocious packs. I got that Capture and Crush truck, and I will be in Target first thing in the morning like a lot of people, see if I can get my hands on a few more figures. So that will do it. As always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.